Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is my August TBR. I almost said May because I literally cannot believe we're in August already. I have a goal to read 8 books this month because I actually only read 5 books in July, which might be a lot to some people, but for me that is like the least amount of books I've read in I don't even know how long. So I want to make it my goal to read 8 books. So I'm really going to push myself this month. I already have 5 of the 8 books already picked, and I'm going to have the other 3 picked from my TBR jar just for something random. So the first 2 I plan on reading are The Painted Devils and Holy Terrors by Margaret Owen, and this is the Little Thief series. So Painted Devils is the second one, and Holy Terrors is the third one. And I actually read Little Thieves in July, and this was actually a reread for me. The first book I read it in like December 2022 or something like that, and I decided I was going to reread it so I could finally get to the second and third books because I actually hadn't read them yet, and I needed to refresh my memory and reread the first book. But I finished that one in July, and I've got books 2 and 3 to read in August. And actually, I'm filming a reading vlog for that series, so look out for that. It will hopefully be up within a week. Hopefully, the books are very long, so it's taken a while. But yeah, I really enjoyed the first book, my reread of it. I liked it in the first place, and I liked it probably just the same amount the second time round. But anyways, this series is about it's kind of like an urban fantasy series, and I think it's set in like a fantasy land, but I think it's supposed to be based on like Germany, and it follows the main character Vanya, who she is basically been given up by her mother to the gods of death and fortune. And basically, she's been told her whole life that she's bad luck. She's been kind of left to fend for herself, and she's like a servant in this palace, and she gets treated really badly. And one day, she basically manages to steal the princess's like the princess that she works for's identity, because the princess wears these pearls that alters her appearance, and basically anyone who wears the pearls will look like the princess. So Vanya steals them and basically leaves the princess with nothing. And whilst she is stealing the princess's identity, she is also stealing money from all the royalty and like the noble people, basically to buy her way out of her godmother's death and fortune, like to buy her freedom essentially. But it goes pretty wrong one day where she steals the jewels of like a wrong noble person, and it turns out that they were gifted to this person by a low god, and this god is very angry that Vanya stole the jewellery and basically curses her to turn into a pair of jewels herself. And on top of all this, there's this prefect investigator who is basically on Vanya's tail. He's basically been tasked to find out who has been stealing from all these noble people. And I really, really like it so far. There's like a good found family, and I just love the characters. The writing style is also really funny. And yeah, the second book is a little bit different. In this one, the main character accidentally starts a cult. So that sounds really interesting. And then in the third one, she's trying to solve basically these killings. I think there's a serial killer on loose, and she basically gets framed for it. But I am excited to continue this series. I have 2 more rereads that I want to get done in August as well, in preparation for a book coming out in September, and that is the Divine Rivals series by Rebecca Ross. These are the German editions, so I won't be reading from them because I don't speak German. Yeah, Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows. I've read Divine Rivals, I think 3 times, and Ruthless Vows twice. So this will be basically my 4th time reading the series. This is in my top 3 favourite series. I think it's number 3. I just love this series so much, and I'm so excited for Wild Reverence by the same author. It's basically like a prequel to this series, but it doesn't follow any of the same characters because it's set like hundreds of years before. But I am excited either way because I love Rebecca Ross's writing and I just love this world. But basically, this is like a historical fantasy romance. It's kind of supposed to be based off of like World War One, and it follows like 2 rival journalists who are. It's basically set to the backdrop of this war between 2 gods, and they basically get entangled in the war, but they still work as journalists. And I just love it so much. They send each other letters back and forth, but she doesn't know she's sending the letters to her work rival. She just thinks it's just some random guy who happened to find her letters. And I just love it so much. I love the main characters. The writing is so pretty, and I'm just so excited to read this series again. And hopefully, I love Wild Reverence. I also need to get to the Geographer's Map to Romance. I always get it mixed up with the first book in this series, which is the Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love. And this is my first time reading this book. I actually reread the first book so I could read this one. And I gave the first book 3 stars, and I'm probably going to give this one 3 stars as well. This is actually a book that I was reading in July on audiobook, but I'm still only halfway through it, so I'm going to have to finish it in August. But yeah, the series is fun. The writing is very quirky and humorous, and this author has another series where the writing was like that as well, but I actually preferred that series. I just found the plot more interesting. The plot was more quirky than these books because in that series it follows like pirates and witches and spies, whereas this one follows like academics, so bird people, whatever ornithologists are. They're the studiers of birds, and then these ones are geographers. So they're basically there was this incident in Wales, and they're going there to survey the land. But I just find that a lot more boring than her other series where the main characters are pirates. That's just a lot more entertaining, in my opinion. They're pirates, but they fly. Their ships are actually just their houses that can fly. Like that's just so much more entertaining to me than this. But I do like the romances in this and the characters and the writing, but the plots are just not as entertaining to me. Okay, now for the scary part. I'm going to choose my next reads, 3 of them from my TBR jar. I don't have the best of luck with this because I always end up pulling out ones that I've already read and forgot to take out the jar, or I pull out sequels where I haven't read the first book yet. But hopefully the jar is going to be kind to me today and not give me a 600-page book. I feel like that's going to be foreshadowing. The amount of hairs from my head that I have to pull out of this jar, I don't even know how they get in there. And I pulled out a book that I've already read, so attempt number 2. Okay, this is good because I really wanted to read this book. It is The Starving Saints, which is actually a new addition to my TBR. I was kind of hoping to save this for autumn because it is a horror book, but do you know what? I feel like horror, it can be read all year round. Um, all I know about this book is it's supposed to be confusing, and it's a historical horror, and it's set at this castle that's under siege, and it follows lots of different perspectives. And the castle's been under siege for like a long time, like 6 months, and people there start to go kind of crazy. I don't know if it's because they're all starving saints. But the 3 main characters, they're the only ones that actually stay sane, and that's why we get their perspective. But that's all I know. I just know it's supposed to be really confusing, and I've heard mixed reviews, but I feel like it's something I would like. So we'll see. Okay, number 2. Oh my god, that took me ages to figure out what that book was. I completely forgot that this book was on my TBR. It's called The Faithful Dark, which is right here actually. All I know about this is it's an urban fantasy set in a city where this girl is basically born without a soul, and she was raised by the church, and there's a serial killer on the loose, and basically she has to solve what is going on, which sounds interesting. And the people who've recommended me this book, I trust their opinion, so I feel like I could enjoy this. I can't believe I totally forgot that this was on my TBR. I literally never think about it, so maybe that's a good reason to read it, you know? Okay, last one because this TBR jar is driving me crazy. Oh, this is also a new addition to the TBR, and it's quite a chunky book. It's Grave Empire by, I think, Richard Swan. Oh, it's a really chunky book. This is going to be an ambitious month because the 2 Little Thieves books that I still have to read are both over 500 pages, and I think this is probably closer to 600. No, this is 500. I don't know much about this. I know it's high fantasy. This is connected to another series by this author that I haven't read yet, The Justice of Kings, it says it on the back. And apparently you can just read this on its own. You don't have to read that series first. I just heard really good reviews from this. I know it's set in a city and there's a plague, and I've heard it's quite horror adjacent. People are saying they were really quite scared reading it, which sounds like my kind of thing. I love fantasy books that can add other genres into it as well. This is also one where I've just heard amazing reviews, so I do really think I'm going to like it. I feel like this month would be really good for enjoyment. I just don't know if it's achievable because there's a lot of chunky books in here, but I'm going to attempt it. Yeah, that is the 8 books that are now on my August TBR. I'm quite nervous because that is a lot. I'll get through it. I'm gonna have a really busy week next week as well, so I don't even know how much I'm gonna be able to read next week. So I might be in over my head here. But anyways, let me know if you have read any of these books or if you want to read them or what you're going to be reading this month. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you in the next one.